Did you know that we can have trust in Jesus?
That's right, even if we don't know how he's going to help, because we know he will. I'm Buckle.
And I'm Isla.
And welcome to
The Link Show.
Hello everybody, it's so lovely to have you back with us for another episode of The Link Show. Term 2, Easter holidays are all done, and it's so good to hang out with you, but we've got to let you know what's coming up today.
First up, we're doing a really cool craft.
That's right, a craft that tells us that we can always trust in Jesus. After that, we're going to be taking a look at all of your arts and crafts in Link Kids Inbox.
After that, we've got today's animated Bible story.
Then right at the end, make sure you're paying attention for today's Bible quiz. It's going to be so much fun, but like we said, our very first craft is all about trusting in Jesus, and so the craft looks like this. So we're going to get started on getting ours done, and while we do that, I'm going to go on a bit of adventure for Preach Part 1. Have you ever forgotten to take your lunch to school? I remember that happening to me a little bit when I was younger, but I want to tell you about a particular time when I had forgotten entirely to take my lunch to school and something really cool actually happened. So, many years ago when I was in primary school, I got up in the morning and I was super excited to go see all of my friends, and so I packed my bag, but I forgot to grab my lunch out of the fridge, and so I jumped in the car, went to the bus stop, hopped on the bus, got to school, made it through the first couple of sessions in class, opened up my bag at first break and realized I had forgotten my lunch and I was starving. We had been running around and playing and I was super duper hungry. But here's the thing, I got really embarrassed and I didn't want to tell anybody that I'd forgotten my lunch. I thought that people would make fun of me or be mean to me because I'd forgotten to pack my lunch. And so instead what I did was I sat down and I closed my eyes and I said this little prayer. I said, Jesus, I feel really embarrassed to ask anybody else for help, but I'm really hungry. Can you please help me? And so I went through the second session of classes until eventually we got to the second break. And by now I'm definitely starting to feel really hungry. But then something weird happened. We got to the end of the class and the teacher said to us, hey, because you've all been doing such a good job today, I've actually decided to do something special. Who wants pizza? And all of us were like, we want pizza. And so the teacher had actually organized for us to have a pizza party in class. I couldn't believe it. God had answered my prayer and he had made a way. Now, the teacher might have already been going to do the pizza party. I don't know. All I know is that I needed food. I asked Jesus for help, and it just so happened that that same day he answered my prayer and there was a miracle for me, even though for everybody else it just seemed like something normal. You see, what I want to talk about today is that we all have times when we need Jesus' help. And I want you to know that you can ask him for help. You don't have to be afraid because he wants to be there for you. And so we're actually going to take a look at a Bible story a little later on where something very similar happened. All of these people came to see Jesus, but they didn't bring food. And so we're going to find out what happened in that Bible story a little later on. Welcome back everybody! We have finished our Trust in the Lord coloring. I'm really happy with mine. The cool thing about these is we actually put a verse at the bottom. It says, trust in the Lord with all of your heart and don't rely on your own understanding. In other words, even if it doesn't make sense, we can still trust in Jesus. So I went blue for the big letters, and then I used like a reddy orange for the little letters, orange for the sun, yellow for the beams, and blue for the sky, green and orange. I just made mine super colorful because I love it so much. But Isla, what have you done with yours?
Well, for mine, I've done a pinky purple for the words, red stars, orange and blue for the top bit, a lot of colors at the bottom.
I love that you did different colors for your flowers. They're so special. But you know what else is special? All of your arts and crafts. Let's go check out Link Kids Inbox.
Welcome back. You are so talented.
I agree, you are very talented, but right now let's go check out today's animated Bible story. Has anything exciting ever happened near you? Something so amazing that everybody around had to come and see for themselves. Well, this would happen to Jesus all the time. In the New Testament of the Bible, we read that Jesus traveled all over the country teaching people about how much God loved them and doing miracles like healing the sick. The way that Jesus taught was so new that everybody would come to hear him. When Jesus saw how many people had followed him, he had compassion on them and started healing anyone that was sick. But by now it was getting late in the day, and the disciples came to Jesus and said, "Jesus, send everyone home, send them away so that they can go and buy themselves dinner from the local towns." But Jesus replied, "Don't send them away, you feed them." "Jesus," they said, "do you know how much it would cost us to feed everybody here? There's over 5,000 people. And the only food that we have belongs to this little boy who only has 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish." Jesus told the disciples to get everyone to sit in groups on the ground, and Jesus took the bread and the fish. He held them up to God and gave thanks for the food. As the disciples took the bread and the fish and started to give it to the people, a miracle happened. Whenever they gave someone something to eat, there would be more food left to give to the next person. There was so much food that not only did everyone get to eat, they got to eat as much as they wanted. After everyone had eaten, the disciples gathered all the leftovers and they filled 12 large baskets with all of the food. How amazing that God didn't just supply enough food, but he supplied more than enough. Okay, so as you can see in this story, there's 5,000 men, and that doesn't include all of the women and all of the children. So there were more than 5,000 people who had all traveled from who knows how far away to come and see Jesus speak. That's how excited they were. But it was getting to the end of the day and everybody's starting to feel hungry, and the disciples are like, "Jesus, there's no McDonald's nearby. There's no Hungry Jacks nearby. The people need to go home." But Jesus says, "No, you feed them." And I love that out of all of the food there could have been, it was a little boy's lunchbox. And Jesus took it and did a miracle and fed over 5,000 people, and there were 12 baskets of food left over. There's 2 things I want us to learn today. Number 1, if you're ever in a situation and you don't know what to do and you need help, it's okay to ask Jesus for help. We can put our trust in Jesus. That's why today's coloring says, put your trust in the Lord. And there's a Bible verse there that basically says, don't worry about how it's going to happen, because sometimes we don't know what Jesus is going to do. All we know is he wants to help us. And so if you're in a situation where you need help, I want you to know you don't have to be afraid to ask for help. You can ask your teachers at school. You can ask your leaders and pastors at church. I want you to know that we are here for you and Jesus wants to help you. But there's a second part to this story. Someone brought something to Jesus for a miracle to happen. You see, maybe today you don't need help. Maybe you're doing just fine, but maybe you're meant to be the miracle for somebody else. What do you have in your bag or your pencil case? What do you have with you that you can use to show kindness to someone else? Because something as simple as sharing a pencil if someone has forgotten one may not seem like a big deal to you, but to that person, you don't know what they've been asking for help with. And maybe, just maybe, Jesus wants you to be the miracle in somebody else's life. So this is what I want us to remember today. It's the most important thing, is that we can put our trust in Jesus. Everyone say it together on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. We can put our trust in Jesus. Welcome back. You know what? It's time for the Bible quiz. The way this is going to work is I'm going to ask you a question from today's Bible story and give you 2 possible answers. If you think the first answer is correct, put your hands on your head. If you think the second answer is correct, put your hands on your shoulders. Here we go with question number 1. When the disciples told Jesus there's no food for the people, what did Jesus say? Did he say, well, you feed them? Or did Jesus say, send them home to get food? You've got 5 seconds. Okay, Isla, what do you think the answer is?
That they should feed themselves.
That's right, the disciples should feed the people. Jesus wanted the disciples to look after the people. Here we go with question number 2. The disciples went to try and find some food. What did they find? Did they find a Hawaiian pizza with pineapple? or did they find some bread and fish? You've got 5 seconds. Isla, what do you think the answer is?
A wine heat.
No, it wasn't a Hawaiian pizza. He found some bread and some fish. Okay, third question. Whose food was it? So who gave the food to Jesus? Was it a young boy or was it an old man? You've got 5 seconds. Okay, Isla, who gave their food?
The young boy.
That's right, it was a young boy. Next question. When Jesus blessed the food and then they gave it to the people, what happened? Did the food run out? Or was there enough for everybody? You've got 5 seconds. Okay, Isla, what do you think the answer is?
There was enough for everyone.
There was enough for everyone. Good job. And last question at the end. How much food was left over? Was there 6 baskets of food or 12 baskets of food left over? You've got 5 seconds. Okay, Isla, what do you think the answer is?
12.
There was 12 baskets of food left over. I love that we learned today that we can always trust Jesus even when we don't know how he can do a miracle.
That's right. Jesus did a miracle with someone's lunch.
And he fed over 5,000 people. So I'm Buckle.
And I'm Isla.
And we will see you next week on
The Link Show.
Bye.
Bye.